Good afternoon. Welcome to Watercolor Painting in the Afternoon. I'm Beth, and today I thought I would paint some yarrow. Yarrow is a pinkish purplish flower, and it looks a little bit like Queen Anne's lace to me, but it's not Queen Anne's lace. It's just this little flower. It looks almost like little dots, and so I thought that would be easy enough to paint and to demonstrate for you how I do that. And I think it can look really cool, and I was hoping that I could put that in my my little sketchbook today and practice a new flower. So I hope you'll join me. I'm going to begin by making some purple, and to do that I'm just going to take whatever this nondescript red is here. I really don't have a name for this. It just came out of a different palette, and I didn't, the colors really didn't have names. It looks a lot like alizarin crimson, and that's what I'm going to call it. So, alizarin crimson and some cobalt blue. I want to make a little bit of purple because I think yarrow has that pinkish purple look, and it does kind of lean toward the pinkish, so that might be too blue. Let's add some red. And there we go. That looks much better. So we'll begin with making various strengths of this. I'm going to just be watering it down a little bit, or making it more concentrated in order to make the different little clusters of yarrow. And basically all I'm going to do to make these clusters is just put little dots on the paper, because that's exactly what they look like. They look like little dots of color. Some of them quite whitish, a whitish pink, and then others darker. I'm doing all of them maybe a little bit darker than they appear in the photograph that I'm using. And, it just depends on how much color you want to use in your own painting. But this kind of pinkish purple color intensifies in the center of this composition, and then fades back out on the sides. So let's just keep making this purple. I want it to last as long as I need it. There we go. And we're going to keep dotting this in. That's basically all I'm doing, just dotting. Then the stems of the yarrow will come down, and they'll have these little fern-like leaves on them. And I'll try to get those in the right place too. So as we come toward the center, for whatever reason, it's darker. And it had a couple of little, oops, that's too much water. A couple of little clusters over on this side. Right now this doesn't look very diverse. The purples look all about the same color to me. So I am going to definitely have to come back and darken some of this. Excuse me if I sniff. I have had all kinds of allergies this spring. It's been kind of a bad spring for allergies. I don't know if you've suffered from them or not, but I hope not. Good Lord. Just dots. That's all it is. Dots. And it will all come together, I promise. And then as we come down further, let's go even lighter with the purple. See how light we can get down here. Barely even there, right? Just barely there. One thing I wanted to do today is just sort of test out the limits of the varieties of light and dark values that are needed to make a painting like this pop out and look like something instead of looking like just, like I said, dots, you know, just randomness. I want it to look like yarrow. I think I want it to look like, if you know what yarrow looks like, you look at this and you say, huh, that's what that looks like. So let's see if we can get there. A little bit more light color on the outside. Okay, so there are my clusters. And I'm going to use my liner brush here to connect some of them with some greenery. Now I have sap green, that works for me, but it's a little bit too light. I think that the green in the picture is just a little darker than this, so what I'm going to do is add Green Apatite Genuine over here from Daniel Smith. And that will deepen that green up a little bit. Or you could add blue, you could add a dark blue to it, and that would deepen it up. So let's see. This is where I think it looks like Queen Anne's lace. You're coming down, you've got your stem, your main stem here, and it kind of thickens as you come down. Be very careful not to go into the purple too much, especially if it's wet. If it's wet, it'll bloom out into this green bloom, and you really don't want that. But you have these little stems that come out like this. And I just think that looks a lot like Queen Anne's lace. And you can maybe peek a few of the green stems through the flowers so that you see that even beyond the flowers a little bit, so that you see that they come, you know, they branch out, they're holding those flowers up, they're holding these little buds. Okay. And then down here, I'm not going exactly by the picture, I'm just kind of following it generally. Here we may have a kind of a thicker stem right here, bud coming down this way, or a stem coming down this way, excuse me. And some more over here. I'm going to pull this stem on down, and then maybe there's yet another one coming down this way. And we have all kinds of little limbs coming up, holding this up. Maybe there's another stem right here. Just kind of this little cluster of stems there in the middle. Okay. Over here there's one. And it's going to come down this way. Again, try not to get it in the purple, especially if your purple is still wet. It's warming up here in South Carolina so much and so quickly that the paper is drying out very fast, and we don't have much time to, you know, to get that paint on there before it's completely dry. So, and I'm just gonna poke those little green bits through the flower so that you can, again, so that you can kind of see that this is actually holding up this flower, that these are stems that go all the way through the bunch. Okay. Now we just continue to do that for the rest of the flowers. All right. So next I want to continue making more of the purple, but I want to make it darker because we're going to come back in with shadow and with a different value. So a little bit darker than it was before. I'm going to start with the darker purples in the middle here. And let's pretend that the light is coming pretty much straight down, maybe a little from the right. And we're just going to dot in some darker color. Not too much darker, but I want to play around with value a little, see what happens. You already can see it kind of coming to life when you add these darker shadows. All of a sudden, you don't just see dots, you see a flower, you see something that has more dimension to it. And maybe you even see a little bit of yarrow there. I hope so. Now I'm going to come back over here with it, just a bit on these top blooms. I wanted to get rid of a little bit of the paint on my brush because I had such a heavy load of it and it was very dark. Okay. And then down this way. Well, that might be a little bit too much. We play with it a little bit until we get it right because you know, sometimes you just have to mess around until you have something that you want. Down here in the lightest ones, they too are going to have some shadow colors. This paper, I don't know if you can see it, but this paper is a little bit resistant to the watercolor. As a wood pulp paper in this particular sketchbook, yeah, it's a little bit resistant to the colors that I'm trying to put on here. But that's okay. It's just gonna see, that already looks so much more like a flower, doesn't it, than just those plain dots. And now I want to go even darker. So I've got a nice deep purple, and I'm just gonna barely dot this in here and there. This is the deepest of the shadows, and let's see what that looks like when we're done. if it's helpful or if it's not. Got the deepest shadows coming just barely, but all the way to the right, so that the light is coming from your right. So these are the deepest shadows. It looks like it's going to be too dark, but I don't think it will. When it's all dried and finished, I think it'll be right. Okay. So if you take a look at that, at how that looks now with those three colors, now it's really popping out. And what I'm going to do, final step, is to make those fern-like little leaves that come off of the yarrow. They're just these little bitty tiny leaves, but they almost look like little fern fronds. So let me show you what I mean. There's one, let me move this off there because it's going to tilt. And it just looks like a little fern frond. It's just got these little baby leaves on it. And they're all up in here. You can hear the kids are out of school. Yes, they are. They're in their cars, on motorcycles, on ATVs, going down the road like gangbusters. Hear them. We have some people who complain about it. Tell you what, you might as well not. I mean, when you were a kid, would you not have wanted to be on one of those things? Flying down the road? They're dangerous, but I think they're also a lot of fun if you follow just a few little safety rules. Okay. I hope that you have enjoyed doing that with me, because that was fun for me. I really enjoyed doing the yarrow. I think it looks pretty good, and I'm especially happy with the 3 levels of shadow on these flowers. I think that makes it really pop out and really stand out. And yeah, I hope you'll give those a try, and thank you for joining me today. See you next time.